So the last video I did was on the North American version of Being Human, and in the comments of that video, I actually got a request to cover the British version of Being Human, and I figured, why the hell not? So the quick cast rundown: Aidan Turner plays Mitchell, or John Mitchell, I think, later on in the season, which is the British version of Aidan the vampire. Russell Tovey, I hope I pronounced that right, plays George Sands, British version of Josh the werewolf. Lenora Crichlow plays Annie Sawyer, I think it's Sawyer, which is the British version of Sally the ghost. And Sinéad Keenan plays Nina, the British version of Nora. So it's basically the same synopsis, I guess you want to call it. We've got the blood-addicted vampire, high-strung werewolf, and the ghost trying to keep everyone together while dealing with the fact that she's dead. And all of them living together, doing their best to be human. Shit keeps happening, and they get through it all with the power of friendship. Well, and being a vampire, werewolf, and ghost. They continue to do their best, but this time it's in Bristol. The UK version ran from 2008 to 2013 and got 5 seasons, but each season got around 7 or 8 episodes, with the exception of the last season, which got 6. And each episode is roughly an hour or so long, around 37 episodes, I think. When we first see the three of them together, Annie, Mitchell, and George together, Annie can already leave the house, normal people can see her, and all that.
Madness. See ya. He can see me.
He could so see you.
Oh, it's happening all the time now. And not just with people like you, but with normal people. I was outside putting out the recycling and a van drove past and the guy shouted.
Although later, Annie kind of reverts to basically only supernatural people can see her, which is kind of weird. Mitchell, the vampire, was turned during World War I.
Mitchell was going to go down in a blaze of gunfire and glory. He didn't think death would smile at him first. Death was always a certainty, the punchline we could all see coming, but not for Mitchell.
As opposed to Aidan, who was turned during the Revolutionary War. Apart from that, he's pretty much the same. The whole brooding, tragic backstory, trying to deal with his addiction to blood. Except in this one, they don't try to have a balance of what they need to survive and overdoing it. It's basically a go clean or flying off the handle and causing a massacre. George speaks 6 different languages.
I mean, I speak a ridiculous amount of languages. I have an IQ of 156, for God's sake.
He's also, like Josh, dealing with the turning once a month, trying not to let it control his whole life apart from that one night.
Got work and then it's his time of the month.
Oh, right. Tell you what, I won't miss that. Used to have to curl up on the sofa, hot water bottle, Pride and Prejudice. Anyone says anything to me, I bite their head off. Gosh, I suppose in your case that is actually quite a possibility, isn't it? You know, biting.
We'll see you later.
Annie is basically in the same situation as Sally. Annie also deals with the feeling of like loss and all that, trying to handle her powers and stuff like that. But it seems like she's more along when we actually meet her than we did with Sally in the North American version. Nina, we meet later on in the first season, if I remember right. In the last video, I didn't really touch on Nora because I didn't really want to spoil anything. Same thing with Nina. I'm doing my best not to spoil anything. I guess all I can say is...
This isn't your fucking larder, Eric.
I'm sorry, what?
This isn't your fucking larder, Eric.
So... apparently, they can say fuck on TV over there. Well, that and some other words I won't repeat. I'm pretty sure this was on public television. I think it was on the BBC 3 or whatever that channel is. Can they actually say fuck and other things on public television? Is that an actual thing? Like, seriously, how are we getting out Americaned on this? Because you can't say fuck on TV here. Now, there are some similarities and some major differences between these two shows. I found myself thinking, hey, they said that in the other version a lot, which I thought was cool, but there was a bunch of stuff that was different like major differences that I found. Oh, and heads up, this next part will probably contain spoilers for both shows, I guess. So you've been warned. So first major difference that I found is vampires cannot be seen in mirrors or recordings. From what I remember in the North American version, they can be seen in mirrors and recordings and all that, but in the British one, vampires cannot. Which I guess it really aligns more with traditional vampire mythology. The whole vampires don't have a soul, so they don't have a reflection, or they can't be captured in video or photographs or whatever. Next one is they use practical effects in the British version for the werewolves instead of the CGI like in the North American one. They also went with a more traditional look for werewolves. Again, it looks like to me that they followed more traditional werewolf or lycanthrope mythology. Also, back to the vampires real quick. I think the vampire fangs look longer as well in the British version, although in later seasons to me they looked like they were getting shorter, so maybe it was just for one or two characters and then they went with the shorter ones. I don't know. In the beginning of the show, the fangs looked longer to me, at least. Let's go ahead and stick with more vampire stuff that got changed. So blood bags do not work like at all, and in the North American version at least it takes the edge off the craving, but in the British version it does nothing, and in fact I'm pretty sure it even made one vampire sick. So there's that. Next one is Mitchell turns Bernie. In the North American one, Aidan didn't turn Bernie. What was her name? Rebecca? I don't remember. Anyways, in the British version, Mitchell is the one who turns Bernie, and Bernie stays with his mom instead of what happens to Bernie in the North American version. Next one is werewolf blood is like acid to vampires, but in the North American version, during the vampire plague, which spoilers, werewolf blood saves vampires. Which one of the major events is the old ones, which are the ancient vampires in the British one, like decide to take over the world, but in the North American one, one of the major events is the vampire plague. In the North American one, they don't plan to take over the world. That's just Bishop, which I forgot to mention in the last video. Yeah, that's a major turning point, I guess, for the British version is the vampires plan to take over the world. So season 4 took a fucking turn, and then they also rotated the cast with a new vampire, werewolf, and ghost, which I guess leads to the quick cast rundown part 2. Michael Socha plays Tom, who we meet in the 3rd season, I think, is the new werewolf whose innocence is too pure for this world or that world. Damien Molony, I hope I pronounced that right, plays Hal, an old one of the ancient vampires who is in like self-exile and hasn't drank blood in like 50 years or something. I think he's like 600 or 700 years old, roughly around that, who has like serious OCD and is like a real neat freak, which that comes from his routine of trying to stay clean and whatnot. And Kate Bracken plays Alex, the new ghost who was on holiday from Scotland, which Alex becomes the more sarcastic and witty member of this new trio, which Alex is really different from Annie or Sally. She has more of this tomboy rebellious thing going on, which really helps even out Hal's OCD and just his overall proper, I believe the term is posh feeling he brings. She evens out the trio really well, just like Annie and Sally did. How the seasons are set up: season 1, you meet Annie, George, and Mitchell. Annie is already visible to people. Mitchell is fighting his blood addiction. George is just trying to hold his life together. And then there's Herrick. I think his name is Herrick. Basically, Bishop from the North American version is the big bad, I guess, for that season. Season 2 brings in Nina as a full character. Some stuff happens there. I won't spoil it that much. There's a religious group led by a scientist and priest, I think, named Kemp, trying to cure supernatural beings, specifically werewolves. And we see a darker side of Mitchell come out with something big happening. Season 3, the group moves to Wales because of certain incidents. Annie's ghost powers grow more. George and Nina are trying to live a normalish life. And also, the end of season 3 takes a darker turn, but it doesn't really get dark until season 4, and that's when the whole that took a fucking turn happens. And then we have the cast rotation. Shit happens to George and Nina. The old ones show up, planning to take over the world. And then season 5, we get all of the new trio, Hal the vampire, Tom the werewolf, and Alex Ghost. And then begins the final battle of Captain Hatch. I won't go into detail who that actually is. And then the ending. For the ending, I have to say that's it. In the North American version, we got a nice ending that felt complete and very rounded out. But this version, I don't know, it feels like it needed at least one more episode for a good conclusion. But yeah, the endings are very different between the British and North American versions, being that the British version is more ambiguous than the North American version. And it has this will they or won't they bullshit with Alex and Hal. Will they get together? Will they not get together? I guess it's left up to interpretation or whatnot. But the whole will they or won't they bullshit's just annoying for me at least. Oh, also the same thing with will Tom get together with Allison, played by Ellie Kendrick, who shows up in the 4th season, episode 6. I think it's suggested earlier in the last episode that they get together or something, but I don't know. So to me, this show feels maybe a little dry, but I think that's just because it's a British show and I'm an American. So some of the humor I'm not familiar with, and I had to look up some of the slang terms to put what they're saying into context, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I don't know. This show felt more dry to me than the North American version. But again, I think that's just because I'm an American and yeah. Now, I watched British Being Human on Tubi, but as of recording this, it just got put on the leaving soon list. So I'm not sure how much longer Being Human will be on Tubi, if it's even on there now when you are watching this. But I actually highly recommend watching the show. I know, shocker, I like the North American version, so obviously I like this one. Now, I don't think one version is better than the other. I liked each show equally for different reasons. Just if you've watched the North American version, there are differences, but the British one did come first. So, but if you can, I would definitely say watch it. I'm sure it's on Amazon or Vudu or something. Probably even YouTube. They're doing that whole thing now. But yeah, with all that said, that does it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see everyone in the next one.